Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Women's Soccer Show. I'm Sarah.
And I'm Allie.
And we are back, baby. 2 weeks off, but it felt like longer, didn't it, Allie? It felt like way longer.
It did feel a lot longer, but it was much needed. I feel very refreshed and raring to go now.
Yeah, we're ready to go. We're ready to go. And the reason we took 2 weeks off is because we didn't have a season end because we're covering the World Cup this year.
That's right, baby. From next week, our World Cup coverage starts, which includes a preview of the whole tournament, which will drop next Tuesday, and then starting our tournament coverage proper on Friday. So remember those dates. It'll be every Tuesday, every Friday, a new WOSO episode will drop covering this tournament. As you know, past tournaments, we've done our best to highlight all the big games. And yes, there will be some bias because, you know, England fan, USA fan. But that will not be our focus of our coverage. We will cover everybody, every talking point, every highlight. We've got you covered.
I don't even know if there's bias or if we're just harder on our teams than we are on other teams.
There is that. Yeah.
I actually think that's what it turns out being, but I don't know. On that note, most of you know we have done a World Cup fundraiser. Thank you to all of you. Let me start at the beginning. A lot of you reached out on social media and sent us just like the sweetest messages saying that you would love us in Australia, that you want to listen to our coverage, your favorite podcast coverage with, you know, boots on the ground in Australia, and that you'd love for us to be there. And we just want to say thank you so much to all of you who reached out. It was just so heartwarming. That's why we do it, to cover the game, and for you guys to reach out and say that you like our coverage and you want us there enough to donate to us. Wow. Thank you so much. So we started that fundraiser. Thank you to all of you who have donated, who have liked, who have shared. If you can't donate, like, retweet, whatever, that's still up. If you want to go donate, we'd really appreciate it. It's GoFundMe. Our goal is at $5,000. We're currently at $4,500. We're only $500 away from our goal, which is insane. I think it says like 4K online. Some people have donated in different ways, but thank you guys so much. And if you hear this and you haven't donated and you want to, links in our bio on Instagram. It's pinned at our Twitter. Thank you all so much. And we are so excited to announce that we are going to be covering the World Cup from Australia, baby. Woo-hoo! So Poor sad Allie can't get work off.
No.
But I will be there for all of the knockout rounds, starting before the round of 16. And Allie and I are going to cover this World Cup from Australia. I'm going to bring you all of the content, all of the coverage, whatever you need. Send us messages. Tell us now what you want, like from me in Australia, and we'll give it to you. So thank you all so much. We're so excited to be doing this and to bring you coverage, boots on the ground. It was fun to do it for the Euros. It's going to be more fun to do it for this tournament.
But that is enough housekeeping. Let's actually talk some football, and let's talk about the NWSL and all of those international send-off games. Let's do it!
Onto something that I think we do very well here. We're going to break down some games, starting with the NWSL. And I just want to say first and foremost for the NWSL, this is a pivotal moment still for this league. So while World Cup is going, do what you can to still tune in. We don't want those numbers to drop. Even if you like put it on in the background on a computer while you're watching the World Cup, I just feel like it's important to keep this league going and support the players who are still playing it because they're the ones who are keeping it going right now.
100%. So this is our NWSL game of the week, which is San Diego versus Washington Spirit, which ended in a 2-2 draw. But my goodness, what a draw. What a game.
I knew it was going to be a tasty one. The moment I saw this matchup, I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. This is going to be fun, and it did not disappoint.
100%. Also, my favourite moment was you could hear Casey Stoney getting so annoyed at the fourth official. And, like, there's a bit in the broadcast that I was listening to, they had to like cut her mic really quickly because
oh my god, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, she's yelling at the fourth official. She goes, if they're effing doing that, then why are they effing getting away with it?
It brings me so much joy. It brings me so much joy when you accidentally hear somebody on the field cussing and you can tell the broadcasters are like, just ignore it. Just ignore it. Nothing happened.
Yeah, it was so
we
funny.
didn't just say the F word on live TV.
Yeah, Leanne Sanderson had to like very quickly like talk about what was going on the pitch.
This 2-2 draw, it was a wild one. The Spirit scored first. A penalty kick from Ashley Hatch. Honestly, this was created by Ashley Hatch. Incredible defensive work from her. And I feel like let's go into each goal because it was so much fun. It was Spirit, San Diego, Spirit, San Diego. And then, honestly, I thought San Diego was going to score in the dying minutes of extra time. They did not. We end at 2-2. But this first goal also went to VAR. Controversial call. We almost had a goalkeeper with a red card. We didn't end up getting a goalkeeper with a red card, but we did get a penalty kick for the last defender, really, but it was deemed not the last defender, for the goalkeeper taking out Ashley Hatch. And what a penalty kick. What a daring penalty kick. You want to put that into the upper right? Wow.
Yeah, there was no saving that. There was no getting a hand to it whatsoever. And that's what you want. You know, that's what you want to see from your goal scorers, to be able to just step up and just take that moment and get that lead for your team.
Ashley Hatch has truly, in these few games without the internationals, put the Spirit on her back. And this is going to be like Crystal Dunn in 2015 when she didn't make the team and she went on to be the league MVP, highest goal scorer in the league. I truly see that for Ashley Hatch this year. This is Ashley Hatch's I didn't make the squad and I'm going to show you that you're going to regret that revenge tour era.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But let's talk about the foul that brought the PK. Do you think it was a red card? Because I've watched it back a few times and I'm not convinced that it was a red card.
I'm not convinced it was a red card either.
It was a bad foul. Yes, it deserved a penalty, 100%. But I don't think it's the kind of... It's not an Ellie Robot coming out
no, I agree.
Nikita Paris. You know what I mean? Like, it was a bad timing, but...
Yeah, I think that the ref got the call right. I would totally agree with you. All right, I want to talk about San Diego's first goal. Specifically, in the larger scheme of this game, it was the Spirit went ahead and then, San Diego equalized. Spirit went ahead, San Diego equalized. San Diego's response to all of Washington's goals was like a masterclass in how to respond to conceding a goal.
Yeah.
And this goal was exactly that. Corner kick, great positioning, great work ethic from Shorts. Shorts, I mean... She spent the last year in Portland. It's her second year in the NWSL. She's 24 years old. She slotted into Naomi Girma's center back position. Huge shoes to fill. And she's pushed up on the corner kick and she's able to just really scrap her way towards this goal.
Yeah, the thing is, though, it wasn't a great goal. Let's be honest. And Washington should have done more to clear it. But that's my own opinion.
Fair enough. But then immediately on the reverse end, and the reason I bring up Shorts is because Spirit's second goal came pretty quickly after, and...
It was her fault.
It wasn't her fault, but it was technically an own goal off of Shorts. But frankly, there's nothing she could do. When you're a defender and you're racing back towards your own goal, we talked about this, and there's a cross coming in and you don't have the time to situate your body... and your momentum is carrying you into the goal, and she could feel Ashley Hatch's presence. This is why I say it's not necessarily her fault. Ashley Hatch, I think, forced that error. From her presence there behind Shorts knowing that if I don't put something on this, Hatch is going to score it. I got to put something on it. And hey, sometimes it happens. You've never met a center back who hasn't scored one of these goals.
I was going to say, you're not a defender until you've scored an own goal.
Exactly. And specifically this type of one where you're like, I'm getting back. And then my momentum carries me into my own goal.
So I want to talk about San Diego's second goal because it was my favourite goal of the game because it was Korniak doing Korniak things.
It really was.
That header was just beautiful. Like, just... chef's kiss, as you say, like the positioning she was in, the bounce off of her head. There was no way that goalkeeper was getting it.
Not that was chance. Top bins.
She tried. She was too short for it. Like, it was never going to happen.
I love the broadcaster on this call. I think he said something like, "It's an equalizer, Taylor's version," and I was like, "Oh my god, are we mixing these two?" Because I love it.
But it was just beautiful. It was just genuinely beautiful. And I
was gorgeous.
Think a draw was right. Like, they were both countering each other.
At the very least, a draw is right. First and foremost, the Spirit, they deserve this because they left Korniak wide open on the back post. And this is what's going to happen.
That's their own fault. Like, come on.
Exactly. Now. At the very least, this should have been a draw. And I'm glad you said that, because that kind of brings me on, like, I want to talk about this game as a whole, and that kind of brings me on to, I want to talk about the goalkeepers, because I think the difference in this game and why it ended up in a draw is one team got to retain their goalkeeper when internationals left, and one team did not. And I'm speaking specifically about San Diego obviously losing Kaylin Sheridan versus the Spirit retaining Nicole Barnhart.
Yeah, and that is a huge difference, because your goalkeeper, if you keep chopping and changing your goalkeeper, and we've seen this with WSL teams, it happens all the time, they don't control their back line properly because they don't have that relationship. So the fact that the Spirit gets to keep that relationship going,
it's also just, like, frankly, like a number one versus a number two, and that's no disrespect, but Barnhart, she had to make so many more saves on her end. San Diego had 23 shots versus Washington's 10. They had 9 shots on target versus Washington's 3. Barnhart had to make more saves for this to be a draw. Then on the other side, Jessica Cooey for San Diego, she played well overall, but she didn't have to make as many saves. She had 1 to 2 shaky moments. That's understandable. But she didn't have to keep her team in the game like Barnhart did. And Barnhart was a huge difference here.
It will show as the league progresses whilst the World Cup is on how bigger loss that's going to be for certain teams.
Or we're going to see some young talent emerge, and that's what I love most about this. Speaking of young talent, I really want to call out Melanie Barcenas. She's a 15-year-old. You heard me right, playing for San Diego Wave. She came on as a sub. It was only her 5th appearance, I think, in an NWSL game. And there's no question that this girl can play in this league at this moment in her life. And I think she's going to end up being a very key sub for Casey Stoney in this next coming month. Do you have any other call-outs from this, just like overall call-outs of this game before we move on?
Talking of San Diego, we have to talk about Shaw. No, not Bunny, but the other Shaw. In the fact that she was great for San Diego. Like, she was taking chances, she was getting in the mix of things, and was really dangerous for them.
I mean, another young talent, honestly. She's only 17 years old, and what she's able to do as the starting striker, as the starting number 9 right now for San Diego Wave, she is doing exactly what she needs to do as that number 9, and she's taking a lot of the responsibility of shooting, which is a big part of the center forward. Sometimes you just got to take a shot. Good shot, bad shot. You just got to start your team shooting. It's not just that. She's creative, and she's creating chances for San Diego, whether she's on the ball or not. I love that shout out. I think she's such a young star that everybody, frankly, should be keeping their eye on.
Before we move on to international football, let's talk about what this and this whole week in the NWSL did for the table. Because what a shake-up madness. It makes no sense.
I mean, the table is ridiculous right now, Allie. It is
in 1 week.
Absurd right now, this table. 1st to 5th place, difference of 2 points.
Yeah.
And then you get all the way down to, 8th place is only behind by 7 points? Like, out of 1st place. They're only out of 1st place by 7 points. They're within shooting range of playoffs by 2 points.
Madness.
Like, this table is absolutely wild. But like you said, massive implications from the score lines, not just in this game, but across the league.
Yeah, so you look at this game specifically. San Diego are 6th in the table. And when you think a month ago, they were up the top, shining high. And then they've lost 3 and tied 2 in their last 5 games.
Cause for concern, do you think?
Yeah, I'd say so. Especially since you're going to lose your star striker in Alex Morgan for, the next month.
Yeah, I would have said so before this game, honestly, but I thought they showed so well in this game that it's given me hope that I think that they're going to be fine. I think they're going to find their groove within this month, and I think they'll be on their way. I think this is the furthest we will see them fall this season, which is a big statement to make.
I disagree, because they have lost the leadership that is Alex Morgan, and they've also lost Sheridan, which for me is a huge loss, because...
Yeah, I mean, not to mention Naomi Girma.
And Naomi Girma. So I do think that this month is going to be super hard for San Diego, super hard, because they've lost some really key pieces in key areas. They've lost their number 1 goalkeeper, they've lost a really good defender, and they've lost their number 1 striker. So yes, I do think they will fall further before they will rise back up.
Yeah, when you phrase it like that, it actually makes this draw incredibly disappointing for San Diego. Like, this was a game that they could have taken 3 points from, and arguably should have taken 3 points from. They're playing at home, and they did not. And so that's a big 1 point for Spirit, and that's a big loss of a couple points for San Diego.
Well, we look at Spirit, because Spirit now dropped to just above them in the fifth. They were fourth, and now Gotham have jumped up to fourth.
Even bigger shakeups in the bottom of the table, though. Chicago, round of applause, has officially climbed out of last place, and we are not making fun of you, Chicago. We are so happy to see this. We've seen Chicago slowly putting it together, and it came together in this past weekend. A massive, massive win against Houston, which, I mean, Houston cannot buy 3 points if they wanted to. They're playing so well, and they cannot buy 3 points. You got to feel for them. Houston fell from 7th to 9th, while Orlando or Louisville are both climbing. LA keeps climbing, and Kansas City is our new 12th place. They fell all the way down from 10th to 12th. Not one team in this bottom 5 is in the exact same place they were last week. Massive shakeups in the bottom of the table. All right, let's go around the world. Around the world, around the world.
Except we're not. So we don't have anything specific for you guys for this episode, but keep checking out our World Cup coverage, because that's going to have all of the international football that you could ever need.
Every Tuesday and Friday. We just couldn't eliminate this segment. We were like, it's not going to feel right if we don't have this in. So enjoy this advertisement.
Have you checked out Total Football Analysis yet? TotalFootballAnalysis.com provides researched analysis on loads of football games, including women's football. Want to know why Miedemar scores so many goals? Do you want to explore how City have turned it around this season? Head over to TotalFootballAnalysis.com and sign up to learn more about the beautiful game. We have a special discount for listeners of the Women's Soccer Show. At checkout, type WOSO10 to get a full year for €10. That's €40 off the yearly subscription. Head over to TotalFootballAnalysis.com and type WOSO10 at checkout.
And we are back. We've got to talk some international football, because there were some massive send-off games with, I think, for some, big implications. Some, they don't see a lot of implications in the send-off games. No. And that's a lot of what we're going to talk about today is, like, what are there takeaways and what are there from some of these big games? We're obviously going to come on to England and the US, but the one we have to start with is, boy, did I put my foot in my mouth with this. Germany, the team I currently have, or had, picked, no, I still have them, to be the favorites to win the World Cup, lost 3-2 to Zambia in the dying minutes of the extended, 10 minutes of stoppage time in that
12.
game?
It ended up being 12, which was ridiculous. Like, actually ridiculous. I don't understand where the initial 10 came from, and I really don't understand where the 12...
I mean, I don't even know where to start for this game, Allie. Where do you... I guess I want to start with the big question. We're talking send-off games. We're talking implications. I've mentioned on our World Cup previews that Germany were my massive favorites to win, and that they should be able to use this Zambia game as a way to get themselves rolling. Now, maybe that's the case. Maybe this lit quite a fire underneath them. But your takeaways from this game, is this cause for concern for Germany? Is it not? What did you take away?
I want to preface what I'm about to say is I want to take nothing away from Zambia. This is not Germany having a bad day. This was Zambia having the game of their lives.
I don't even know if it was the game of their lives. It was just Zambia and Barbara Banda, who we will talk about.
Oh, there were so many more than Banda. Like, I got a list of players that we're going to call out for Zambia.
But I mean, we've mentioned how special Barbara Banda is many times last year, this year, and I'm so happy that I'm so happy that even before the World Cup, people are like, here we go.
Exactly. I think what Germany's downfall in this game, do I think it's cause concern for the World Cup? Ish. I think what Germany's downfall for this was they were very reliant on something that wasn't there, which was VAR. They seemed to want fouls being called when it wasn't a foul. Like, I'm sorry, you can be shoulder barged off a ball. Football is a physical game. Like, you're allowed to do that.
They teach you that when you're 8 years old. If you're both going for the ball, you can hit them with your shoulder.
Exactly. Like, it's
some of us take that too far and assume that you can just body check somebody.
That would be myself too. But 101, you can do that. And I think that's where, like, it was a full-strength Germany team, and I just don't think they were expecting this physicality that Zambia have. And in the middle, their midfield need a wake-up call, because wings, they were running beautifully. You know, we're looking at Ball running that wing, you know, Pop is there, and it's brilliant. But in the middle with Brand and things like that, it just was messy. It was messy.
I think that's a great call. I'm going to say, like, as an overall blanket statement for all of these games that we're going to talk about, I don't think any of these games are alarm bells if you lost. And I don't think any of these games are, like, a strong indication that you're going to absolutely crush it if you won. Not at all. What I do think this indicates as a whole for the tournament is exactly what we've all been talking about, and what we're all really most excited to see on display this summer in Australia, which is the gap has closed. And we're not talking about the gap in the top 10. We're not talking about the gap in the top 20. We're talking about from top to bottom, the gap has closed. And that's what this game really excited me about when I was seeing how well Zambia were able to do against Germany. They were up 2-0 for most of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I honestly think all it was just some tiredness creeping in those last, like, 5-10 minutes.
I don't know what else to say. I can't say enough good things about Barbara Banda. I want to hear who your other call-outs for Zambia are. But I just want to say, you know, along the lines of no alarm bells being rung for Germany, this team still got so many shots on goal. They dominated possession. They almost 80% of the possession. This is not a team that got picked apart. This is a team that couldn't figure out how to find the back of the net. Tell me your Zambia callouts.
So my Zambia callouts are, so the big one, as we're talking defensively, is the goalkeeper. Masondo made some insane saves to keep Germany out of the back of the net. Like, was just on it. Her positioning was fantastic. And then her defender, Tembo, again, was in there, was, you know, giving a little shoulder barge, but getting the ball off of Germany, blocking shots, you know, just putting Germany off. I think that was a big thing for their reason they didn't score, is the fact that they were being put off by the positioning of defenders and couldn't quite swing it round. But for me, apart from Banda, the player has to be the second goal scorer and I apologise, I have been practising this, but it's Kunda Nanji, who picked the midfielder's pocket to get the first assist for that first goal, and then that second goal being in the right place at the right time to tackle the German defence, that they were just pinging it but couldn't clear it, and she just picked it up and went right, sent the goalkeeper the wrong way and got them the 2-0 lead. So for me, there was just so many exciting players that you're like, yes.
I totally agree. I just want to add on to what I was saying specifically about Germany, and this was a team that couldn't find the back of the net. That is also massive credit to Zambia's defense. Mostly massive credit to Zambia's defense and their ability to stay organized and play the counterattack. And also the fact that Germany was able to put 2 goals away in 10 minutes.
Oh, my heart broke.
But it might actually be a great way for Germany to go to the World Cup. They know that they can find late goals. They know that they can score. And they've got a bit of a fire underneath them now, having lost to Zambia.
Oh,
and
my heart.
On the other hand, Zambia's going in with a win under their belt against Germany, and they're going out flying. Like, I think that this maybe couldn't have been a better scenario for either team.
No, I have to say, though, I went in this game as a neutral, and then my heart went to Zambia. And when Pop got that goal in the 90 plus 10 minute and it was 2-2, my heart broke. My heart actually broke for them.
Hey, but no need for your heart to be broken, because Barbara Banda, with that insane goal in the 90 plus 12 minute, as you say,
yeah,
I can't wait to watch both of these teams on the world stage.
So we can't stop talking about the Germany-Zambia game without what came up after the game, which is the accusations that the Zambian coach has been sexually inappropriate and basically sexually assaulted players, both past and present, in the Zambian team. We're seeing this again and again and again, and it just doesn't seem to end.
Allie, we both read that article, and I could barely get through it. And for those of you who are wondering, go to our social medias, go to our Twitter. It's on there. But I do have to say, massive trigger warning.
Don't read the comments. Don't read the comments, because the amount of people that are trying to, not just on ours, but from the article, that are trying to justify this and saying that it's the West trying to take down a successful African team that's just taken down a Western team. No, this is not it. This is not it at all.
And the fact is, sadly, this is not in a vacuum. This is prevalent so many places. It is prevalent all across the world in women's soccer, and specifically within federations that have less funding, where players have less control over their future, and players, again, who don't have that limelight, who don't feel like they can speak out and still have their career, which is 99.9% of women who play professional soccer. This is horrifying. It's disturbing. I really hope, and we will be highlighting this during the World Cup and continue to keep it in the conversation, and I really hope that larger mainstream media does as well.
Over to a less thrilling game.
From Germany and a late game winner from Zambia to the 0-0 draw between England and Portugal. Allie, overall thoughts here. And big question, cause for concern for England? Big win for Portugal? What's going on here?
Yeah, I think it's great for Portugal that they're showing that they can compete with, people that are ranked much higher than them. But there is a lot of Lioness fans that are pulling their hair out and weeping into their pillow at this. Guys, this was the game that Serena's had to play around with formations and lineups and everything else because her award-winning lineup isn't there. It just for things. So this is the first proper game that Daly is a number 9. That's the first thing. It's playing with the defensive lineup because we don't know who's going to be, the left back, right back, centre
I think
back.
that's the biggest part, though. I across the rest of the field, I don't think that there's, obviously we know this isn't the Euro squad, but we've got to move on from that, everybody.
Yeah.
The big thing for this game for England was not having Millie Bright and a back four that truly has never all played together before.
Exactly. And so this was the game to play that out, because I'd rather she did this now than in a make or break group stage game.
So no cause for concern for you. Were you worried about, similar to Germany, this team had all of the statistics, almost 70% of possession, 23 shots, 8 on target. Portugal had 0 shots on target and yet couldn't find the back of the net. I feel like more so than just a score line, the cause for concern here would be the lack of ability to score when you've got the likes of Rachel Daly, Lauren Hemp, Lauren James, Ella Toone, Georgia Stanway, all on the field and no goals.
No, I don't think so. I think the Portuguese defence were great. There was that odds-on shot for Lauren Hemp and got past the goalkeeper, and their defenders ran back and managed to goal line clearance it. So I think it's, again, like we were talking about with the Zambia game, it's fair play to Portugal for taking the team that they were playing and dismantling them in a way.
Do you feel like this is the back four that we're going to see starting the first game of the World Cup for England?
Not if Millie Bright's fit. If she's
Sure.
not, then yes, I think it probably is going to be the back line that we see, because that's probably our strongest back line that we've got without her. And I would ask Greenwood to take more of a leadership role on that, because watching that game, she was a bit non-existent.
So Amy, who all of you who listen to the pod know, she's guest hosted and is from England, and definitely let me know that she was not pleased with Alex Greenwood's performance in this game. Do you agree, Allie?
Yeah, she was non-existent. She was non-existent in that position, and she can't be, because if Millie Bright is not there, she's the experienced head in that back line. She cannot go
Lucy
disappearing.
Bronze.
But the thing is, Lucy likes to, as the song says, she's forward, she's back, she's always on attack, she's Lucy Bronze. Lucy doesn't like to stay in the back. She likes to play forward, so therefore if you're keeping your line up at the back, then you need an experienced head that's going to keep the line, and you can't rely on Merps to do it. And so it's going to be Greenwood, and she needs to step up and take that responsibility.
I would agree that this is not huge cause for concern for England. It is interesting that across many teams, we are seeing teams go into this tournament with somebody on their roster who, frankly, we don't know when they're going to be able to play, or frankly, if they're going to be able to play in any of the group stage matches. If it's something that maybe they'll be available when the knockouts hit, we don't know. And I guess that leads us very nicely in a transition onto the U.S. women's national team and their 2-0 win against Wales this past Sunday.
So the first big thing we have to talk about is the announcement that came. Was it just before or just after?
Before the game,
that Megan Rapinoe is retiring at the end of this tournament. And it was quite funny, the reaction I had, because I had two people message me to let me know this was happening. One was telling me, have you seen the news about Pino? I bet you agree with me, about bloody time. And then the other reaction I had was a friend being like, oh my God, Pino's retiring.
Well, that's the correct reaction, to be totally frank. This is a legend of the game. She's brought so much more than just what she brought onto the field. And she's helped move the game forward across the board and not just here in the U.S. And she will be missed dearly. But again, I certainly hope that it's not just that she will be missed in the U.S. This is somebody who should be celebrated across all of women's soccer, kind of in the same way like when Ellen White retired, she was celebrated across all of women's soccer. For whatever feelings you have towards Pino as a player, you have to respect what she's been able to do. And I'm happy we know this before the World Cup, and we assumed this would be her last World Cup. It makes sense that this will be her last NWSL season when she returns, and it'll be a big loss, but I'm happy we know. It's nice when we know that we're watching, a legend for the final time. But let's talk U.S. women's national team versus Wales.
Okay, I'm looking at your notes. You're saying this was a great game for the U.S. I disagree.
Oh, well, I'll start. This was a great game for the U.S. to go into the tournament with. Kind of similar to what I was saying about Germany, frankly.
Yeah.
I think that this game really emulated a lot of what they'll have to face in the tournament, especially in the group stages. But a tournament, we've said this before, playing in a tournament and winning a tournament in a tournament mentality, mentally and physically, is very different than playing a friendly. And what makes the U.S. successful is their tournament-specific prowess. And this game is one that emulated a tournament in the sense that there are always going to be at least one or a couple games within a tournament, if you make it far, that are like this, where you basically got the ball in your attacking half the entire time, and you cannot break down the team, and you have to keep going, and you have to find a way to get those 3 points because a tie is not good enough. And they were able to do that. And I think that this was a great way to be able to get those in the last, half of the second half, and to go into the tournament with a win, with 2 goals, thanks to Trinity Rodman, who we'll come on to. I just think this is a great way to go into the tournament.
Okay, so when you say it was a great game, do you mean it was a great type of game, or the actual game was great? Because the actual game was not great.
No, but it doesn't even matter if the game was great or not. Kind of like how it doesn't matter for England if the game was great or not. I'm saying that this type of game, and the fact that this was the game that was their send-off game, that was good for them to go into the tournament. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that the play on the field was so outstanding. That's not what I'm saying. But I do mainly love that we got to see them find their way through. And you need that. And to see that they have that still in their arsenal when we kind of thought that was gone for a couple of years, it's really, really good. Okay, so let's talk about Rodman. Because Rodman, obviously, she's the goal scorer both times. And she brought, obviously, a big sense. I think she brought a lot of urgency to the field that was much needed. And quite obviously, she brought the goals as well. Now, all of the urgency can't just be attributed to Trinity Rodman. There were other subs that were made that we will come on to. I think namely Savannah DeMello brought a lot of that energy as well. But the big question was, some people were shocked to see Alyssa Thompson in the starting lineup, in those starting 3, instead of Trinity Rodman. So obviously you have Sophia Smith, you have Alex Morgan, and then that Mal Swanson spot, who was it going to be filled by? And Vlatko Andonovski started Alyssa Thompson. And I think a lot of people are saying, or I believe to be true, that I think Trinity Rodman kind of showed, hey, maybe I should be in this 11 to start off with.
I disagree. Just because I feel like Rodman, for me, is what Russo was in the Euros. In the fact that Rodman comes on, that burst of energy, that spark, that, like, amazingness. But I have yet to see her maintain it, at least from an international level, for the full 90 minutes.
I actually love that you said that. I agree that, and I think Vlatko Andonovski specifically likes Trinity Rodman off the bench.
Exactly.
And I think she's going to get a lot of minutes off the bench. I wouldn't be surprised if they split games almost, where, you know, like Thompson gets the first half and Trinity gets the majority of the second. I think she's going to be such a key player in this World Cup. But I agree with you that I think that, and obviously because this was a send-off game and who's going to make changes right now, it would have to take a lot. But I think that he likes Rodman off the bench for the same reasons that you were just saying.
Yeah, no, she's the Russo, like, from the Euros, and the fact that she comes on with this great spark, this great burst of energy. She can G up a flagging team. But when I've seen her start and when I've seen her try and play the full 90 minutes, it doesn't work. It just, that spark can only be maintained for so many minutes, and she ends up making silly errors and things like that. So, yes, I think it's probably going to be Ellen White, Russo, Thompson, Rodman situation for the US for this World Cup, in the fact that one's going to start and one's going to be a super sub.
Yeah, I would agree. And then I think the final topic that we really have to address here, I think it's all wrapped into one, was Savannah DeVello. She made her US Women's National Team debut, got her first cap in the send-off game before she goes to the World Cup. I thought she did an absolutely fantastic job. She brings an element to the center midfield with such an attacking quality that somebody like an Andy Sullivan doesn't necessarily bring. And I just absolutely love her there. And I liked what Vlatko Andonovski was doing in pairing Sullivan and DeMello at that back for a little bit. And that begs the question, because we saw the tactics for if there's no Ertz. But there was also no Lavelle. And we heard before this game, Vlatko Andonovski said on a press conference we were on, he said, Roosevelt will get some minutes in the send-off game, and we'll see where she is, and we'll address it from there. Roosevelt got no minutes. Julie Ertz got no minutes. Again, we are now carrying two players who question marks around when they receive the field. Julie Ertz kind of less so, because we've seen her in the NWSL. She's got a little muscle strain. But these are big question marks to be carrying into a tournament.
I still wouldn't have brought Lavelle, but that's just me. I think she's too much of a risk.
Well, we're going to find out. And I hope you're wrong. I certainly hope you're wrong. But I really loved the element that DeMello brought to the field. And I just want to touch on Wales really quickly, too.
Yep.
They have such a strong international future ahead of them. They're one of those teams where you look at their lineup and you're like, wait, is this a star-studded cast? Because it might be. And they played such shutdown defense. All of those players are out of season. There was no Jess Fishlock. And Hayley Ladd, it was like there were 10 Hayley Ladds on the field. She was everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they did us home nations proud. Like, they just need that little bit. I think it's a little bit of funding just so they can push on and kick up. And they will become, you know, a team of the future that's challenging for trophies.
I totally agree.
And that is everything for the Women's Soccer Show. Please keep checking out our socials, because we'll put up all of our timelines and deadlines and schedules and everything else. Please check out our Patreon, because we've got some great new content coming out on that, including go back and listen to our World Cup preview series that we did with Find Her Football. That's all on there. There's extra content from interviews and things that we've done. I've got a great interview up there with Abdullah about his book, The Lionesses. So check that out on our Patreon. But as ever, I've been Ali.
I've been Sarah. Thanks, everybody.
Good night.